Now, just around 15 years ago, we moved to America and made Rochester our home. In the last 15 years, we've bought properties, we've had multiple businesses, and our family's had a pretty successful life here. But at the same time, Rochester is changing on a day-to-day basis with new eviction laws and more regulations that are happening all the time. You want to make sure that in 2025, you know the pros and the actual cons of living here. So in this one, we're going to discuss things that no one really talks about to make sure we can answer one question. Should you move to or avoid Rochester, New York? Let's go. Now, during our buyer consult, we told her the property taxes in Rochester are going to be astronomically high. And she saw it in the paper and was still surprised at the end of the day. You see, for a house that's around $175,000, you're expecting to pay around $5,000 in property taxes. Sure, there's a caveat that the homes are on the cheaper end here, but the property taxes are no joke. So if you are thinking about making that move to upstate New York, just know that you're gonna have to pay a lot of money here in property taxes in comparison to other states. Now, if you're looking for your first home, places like Swillburg, places like Winton Village, and even the South Wedge will be absolutely amazing. And you can find something over there for potentially around $200,000 to $300,000. What's super nice about these neighborhoods is the fact that some of them have duplexes and over 90% of the properties are currently tenant occupied, meaning that we can talk with some of the landlords and see if we can potentially get you something off market. The other caveat is the fact that over 23% of the homes that have been selling now have gone completely cash. So it's going to be super difficult for the first-time home buyer to compete with the investors that are still outright buying these in cash. And you know, it's specific industries that are absolutely taking over. Companies like L3Harris that have, well, space exploration goals, and also optics and photonics that are all over the place. That's kind of what makes Rochester unique. You see, we have a diversification when it comes to the economic standpoint. Just because we're a small city doesn't necessarily mean that we've got small things and we're playing it safe. We're 100% incentivizing growth, and we're incentivizing entrepreneurs to make this their home and continuously go after the projects that they want to go after. Now, we're nowhere as bad as New Jersey, but at the same time, all the factors of, well, appreciation and price points have to be taken into account. Because you see, when you're buying a house, it's not just the mortgage that you have to pay. You also have to pay potentially PMI, interest, and insurance, and so many other things that you want to make sure you have all the numbers in lock. Now, when we told Mike that the weather here is absolutely crazy, he didn't believe us. And he said, I was here from Idaho, I'm okay with the cold. Now, he texted us yesterday saying, dude, how are you actually living here? I just laughed because it makes sense. As you can probably see from myself in the background, our snow is absolutely wild. And at this time, especially in this place, you want to make sure that you have that taken into account. Snow here isn't just something that comes every year and there in flurries. It's weather that is also economically involved. Meaning that the sidewalks here, some of them are heated. You've got businesses that literally operate from snow pole principles. And at the same time, there's so many things that happen here because of our Lake Ontario and because of the snows that come from that as well. Now, if you're not a snowy person, you want to make sure that you have all that information and take it into account. But at the same time, this is something that you have to know. Like, I'm currently here with my business partner, Tex, and we're just shooting some content, but people love the snow for the most part in Rochester, from sliding, from sledding, from doing all the other S's as well. And also going to Bristol, which is about 45 minutes away, to enjoy that with the ski opportunities with the family. It's just something that a lot of people are actively doing. So when you are making that move here, just understand the snow is kind of crazy, but at the same time, if you don't know that, then New York as a whole definitely wasn't an option in the first place. One of the biggest things, especially in Rochester, that we love is the fact that we get to go to so many film festivals as a whole. And obviously we're a smaller city, but we have such a big monopoly when it comes to people's hearts that I absolutely love it. You know, before my grandma died, she was dating this man who was a part of this famous band. Now, I'm not gonna go specifically into details about it, and it's not my place. But what I will say is this: he didn't really have a problem, well, finding more band members around. Rochester's jazz scene is absolutely amazing. And especially with the fact that there's so many artists alike, it's beautiful to see everyone just coming together and playing the instruments that they love. I loved watching those shows, and I thought it was super duper awesome to see that actually come to fruition. And I think what people think about when they're looking at Rochester is this old rust belt that really doesn't have anything, and then everything kind of went to shits after Kodak's collapse. I'm here to tell you that's not the case. What we're seeing here is a microcosm of invention. What we're seeing is a group of individuals coming together and bringing things about. From the button factory, which is legit a button factory, there's so many amazing things to do here in Rochester that you'll never run out of things to do. I'm not saying this to sound goofy or anything. What I am saying is that even though we're a small place, we have massive culture. From places like the Small Memorial Play, to like the Jazz Festival, and to all the other festivals that exist, there's always something to do. And with all these families, especially people like you, when you guys are thinking about making that move, it's not just the fact that you want to work, you also want to play and also have recreational opportunities for your children as well. I think that's what makes Rochester so unique, because it's not just everything is kind of bit by bit, it's a combination or a juxtaposition of all these different activities that exist in one conglomerated location. And for the most part, when our clients are making that move here, one of the things that we hear more than anything is, hey, there's always something to do for my kids. Like the Lilac Festival, especially during the springtime. Or the fact that you get to just enjoy the snow that's here, there's always something to do. Now, take a look at this. That's kind of what the snow looks like over there. That over there is the actual downtown Rochester that Tex and I are driving around, shooting content for you guys for. So obviously, if you guys are interested in taking a look at downtown, making that your home, give Tex a call. We're making videos for you, especially in this cold weather. We love helping you and obviously helping you make that journey to Rochester as well. And at the same time, one of the things about Rochester that you have to know is locations like Pittsford, Brighton, even Webster, they have, well, more of a monopoly when it comes to the good schoolings than anything else. Now, I'm not trying to say anything about live here or live there, but what I am saying is we've definitely noticed kind of an economic diverge and a divide, especially here in Rochester. Places on the east side of Rochester have some of the best schoolings around. On the west side, nah, not as much. And on the inner city, well, that's something that's definitely being revamped in 2025 and 2026. Obviously, when you have children, right, you want to make sure that your children are getting some of the best schooling and best educational places ever. Now, I'm in downtown Rochester right now shooting this area and actually being here. But at the same time, one of the things about downtown as well is it kind of feels like a ghost town. Now, if you look over there, what you're going to see is, well, not that many people. There's really not too many people around, especially in downtown. And at the same time, our downtown kind of feels like a shell of what it used to be as a whole. You know, it kind of feels like a tale of two cities more than anything else, because there's parts of Rochester that are so beautiful and amazing, but there's other parts that 1000% actively need to be worked on. One of the craziest things about Rochester is it's rooted in history, right? Obviously, you've got Susan B. Anthony's house, you've got some of the transit here with the railroad and things of that nature. But one of the things that people don't understand is our food scene is absolutely, as the kids say, bussin', right? We've got some of the best food around. Let me tell you, from Dibella's to Salvatore's to mom and pop shops here that are all amazing. Rochester is a foodie's paradise. And for the best part, that makes me really happy. Why? Because I love eating. And one of the biggest things, especially here, is you gotta make sure that you try out all those Nepali foods over there on Jefferson Road. Let me tell you, they've got some of the craziest things. So if you like food and obviously you wanna try and investigate a little bit differently, then we've got that taken into account. But I think more than anything else, what this tells us is the fact that it's not just the job security that you have, but it's the fact that you've got that cultural security as well that so many people are always actively looking for. Because it's not just about the food, it's about the fact that we've got a migration of culture, a migration of identity, and overall a place where people can really feel home. You see, my grandmother had 19 children. Yep, I know, 19 children. And out of those 19, the 9th one was, well, my favorite sibling. I'll be honest with you, it's not my mom, but she was my favorite. And out of her siblings, her oldest one is my least favorite, and here's why. When she came here, we went to Lake Ontario, and during Lake Ontario, what happened was I was 9 years old, and a geese came right underneath my leg. Now, as a 9-year-old, I was pretty scared to say the least, and I did some things that I'm not too proud of. So with that, the story continues, because she doesn't, well, let me forget about the story. The story literally continues. Well, she doesn't let me finish. It's been over like 15 years. And one of the reasons that I bring that up is because besides the Geese Point, our Lake Ontario trip was absolutely amazing. You see, Lake Ontario and so many other natural wonders exist here, from Lake Ontario to the Letchworth Park and so many other really cool things, especially over there on Canandaigua, that it's home. Now, we are a waterfalls galore. From Lower Falls to Turning Point to Genesee River in between, there's just so many water beauties here. Now, obviously, granted, you've got like 3 to 4 months to actually enjoy those things, but it's not to say that people don't enjoy those during the summertime. Now, we talked about what specifically exists during the wintertime with skiing and all those activities, but really winter brings so many people together. You see, Syracuse has the Winterfest, and so does Buffalo, but Rochester is no different. We have a sense of camaraderie that exists. Now, personally, I live in Henrietta. We've also seen a lot of other companies do a thing called I Love You a Latte, which essentially means you're giving a latte to a worker or to someone that's working in an industry in which there's a lot of time consumption, and it's really, really bad for the mental health. So we want to make sure that it's not just the fact that we have these outdoor recreations, it's not just those things that exist, it's the fact that everyone is taken care of. And I think that's what makes things so amazing. You know, I spoke about the optics scene that we had here, but that's actually driving more people to actually build companies in Rochester. You see, AIM or AIM Photonics actually was building here, and that's causing Illuminate NY to build here as well. They had the option of going to New York City and Boston, but they chose Rochester. And I think that's super duper amazing. Obviously, we talked about the home prices, and because of the fact that the home prices are on the cheaper end, more and more businesses feel comfortable with building here. But what we're seeing is a cultural collapse in which more and more people are being welcomed here. You know, when we made that decision to come to Rochester, right, one of the big things for us was its lower cost of living. Now, when I say lower cost of living, I mean everything but our taxes. Now, let me tell you, some of the taxes here are absolutely crazy. For example, a house here that goes for around $150,000, $175,000, you're expecting to pay up to $5,000 on that thing. Yeah, the property taxes go absolutely nuts. And that's kind of the dichotomy of the whole thing. Obviously, you've got the cheap cost of living, but at the same time, you've got those absolutely astronomically high property taxes that kind of make everything go awry. I'm actually super excited to see where Rochester is headed. From the Riverway Initiative to the Micron project that's being built and all these other units that are actively being sought after, I think it's awesome to see where exactly Rochester's future lies. The question then becomes very, very simply this. Do you see yourself, after all these pros and cons, actually living here, or is Rochester just not the move? Because if it is the move, you should see what specifically we're building in 2025, and I'll put that link right here. See ya. Bye.